Jefferson climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness! Come
on! Welcome one, welcome all to another preseason DFS slate. $100,000 prize pool on DraftKings tonight. We had an amazing time this past Thursday night. Kurt did a great job with the playbook. Bruce posting his free projections. The one and only Bruce. He's too humble to say it, so I'll say it for him. He's on the show tomorrow anyway, but one of the best people in the business, one of the best people who can project, do all these sports. And Bruce with a 50,000 stacks last night, getting it done despite the late surge by, Ned Flanders there from Ailers getting that touchdown. But our guy, Bruce, you killed Bill Walsh with 50 stacks last night. Kurt, how'd you make out? And great job with the playbook. Drew Lock was the number one quarterback. We got unlucky with D. Eskridge, but Jake Bobo and Tank Dell getting us to the promised land yesterday.
Yeah, so first of all, it couldn't happen to a better person. Bruce is literally one of the best in the industry. So nice. I mean, like, people say nice people, and then there's Bruce, where it takes it to a whole different level. Like, would give you the shirt off his back without hesitation. So love to see that for him, especially kick it off. Hopefully he gets another one, I hope. But so last night I had 72% Eskridge. I think he got hurt on the opening kickoff or something like that. So I had 72% him, and I had 65% Douglas. Okay, so factor all that in. And then I don't think it could have really gone worse for me. And I only lost 25% of my entries. I mean, I'll take that all day, every day. So, like, no matter that, it literally, you could not have scripted a worse slate for me. And I only lost 25% of my entries. If any, that gives me I want to just enter 3x what I usually do today, because that just gives me so much confidence right there. So I'm excited to get. And 7-game slate, man. There's not going to be like isolated chalk. I'm going to one of the games. I'm ready. I'm excited for this slate. It's only 10 a.m. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, only 10 a.m. And you're exactly right. I think it shows the epitome of preseason, right? Who cares about floor when you can get upside plays and we get guys on the field, especially at the wide receiver position. Bobo wasn't that chalk last night. Tank Dell was
great call. I didn't circle jerk you, but absolutely great call. So my play was Eskridge got the first play. So obviously boo-hoo me, but then the Jake Bobo call, which really that and the random tight end that Bruce did, which I hope I can find out why he played him. But I just want to say, great call by you. The play of the day, Jake Bobo from you. Mwah, chef's kiss.
Oh, thank you. But another big thing about that slate, Ty Chandler wasn't chalk at all. Like, I was shocked by that. And it was going to get half the work, it seemed, no matter what. And he was 26% owned. McBride was 3 times the ownership.
I honestly didn't expect that much run. Going wrong, I had way over the field on him. I had like 60% or something, but like I didn't expect that much. But it just came down to they didn't really have any other bodies besides they just had those 3. I just thought they would kind of be like, okay, look, we kind of need to keep Chandler somewhat fresh because he's like still gonna be spelling Madison. But no, they didn't care. They gave him all the run. I don't know if we'll expect to see that all preseason, but hey, until they sign someone or do something else, this is what we got to expect from them, which is nice.
Well, that's exactly it. I think it's a true battle for that backup role, and they both get a half. And who knows, the roles could be flipped next week. Brandon Reed said he had 79 with a 1 from Harris and a 1.5 from McBride. That is tough. But, yeah, I mean, it just shows you. I know Bruce even had a 0 at D. Eskridge in the winning lineup, too. James, better be wearing.
Oh, James, hey, I'm a diehard Bucs fan. My parents had season tickets all through the 80s when we were the worst franchise. And they move away, and in 2002 they win the Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm born in St. Pete. I will be rocking all my cousins go to the game. It's going to be a family affair. I mean, you don't got to pay attention to preseason games. I'll probably be looking at my phone, but I also have a little bit more exposure to this game than I probably should. But I'm excited, and of course, James, I will be in.
Well, funny enough, it is the highest over-under, and that will be actually a very interesting game to start out with. We will have projections up free to the public here probably about before noon. And Kurt, you have the playbook almost done, not completely yet, but to get access to the playbook, get access into our Discord, get the latest news on any game that is absolutely popping, because right now it is 10 a.m., but it could be one of those things where, news trickles in, this show, we might hate the Steelers coming in and all of a sudden Mike Tomlin says, hey, we're resting guys and stuff, just for the sake of an example. And make sure you use NFL 23, 23% off for life. And we'll go ahead and dive into this first game, the Steelers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the Steelers are coming in as 2.5-point favorites, Kurt. This is the highest over-under on the board. It is at 39, but it's also a little bit of a tricky game in terms of what these teams are going to do. I think that the Steelers are going to play almost every dude out there, and I think that kind of makes that just slightly gross. And then we have the Tampa Bay Bucks quarterback battle with Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask. You're a Bucks fan. Let's start off with the Bucks quarterback situation. What do you see happening today, or is it more just a guess?
I kind of wish they'd come out and just say, look, John Walford will get like all of the third game, and in the first 2 games, we're going to give like a half each to these guys, but they're not doing that. So it's kind of shitty. It's probably going to be like an even 3-way split. So like Baker and Trask at the same time, then they'll probably give like late third, all the fourth to John Walford. I wish it wasn't like that because I kind of would like to play these guys because it's still a battle. I mean, obviously it's Baker's job to lose, but we're going to suck no matter what. I might sprinkle Trask because I'm going to be at the game, but mostly in a void situation because freaking Walford's just sitting there.
Yeah, I think the Wolford thing just being there is a little bit of a pain in the butt. And then we also look at, I think, depending on who sits and stuff, we do have a tight end battle here. Not that like Payne Durham is a complete lock to like start or anything like that, but if he's a rookie. I mean, he's out of, was it Michigan State, right? And he also played some big time games.
No, Payne Durham from Purdue. You're close. Big Ten.
Purdue, Big Ten.
He
Big
was
10.
so good
that
there,
Big
man.
Ten thing right.
So good.
Aiden O'Connell throwing him the ball. Payne Durham is someone who, had a very successful college career. If he is expected to get extended burn, we saw how bad the tight end position is. Scotty Washington with a 2-point performance yesterday was actually a strong performance, but it was actually Nick Muse's touchdown catch that had Bruce getting into the winner's circle. It was a really low on tight end. And not that Durham carries the same unrecognition, I should say, as Nick Muse, but Durham could be a lower owned guy where if they say, Durham's going to play a lot tonight, maybe a whole half with Baker or Trask, that would definitely be a good thing to gauge. What are you doing with these like skill positions for the Bucks here?
So we've seen tight end for the Bucks. It's usually Tanner Hudson back in the day, but Payne Durham has that receiving ability. It's just a snap situation where back in the day, like Hudson, the reason why we're playing so much because it was just like we knew he's going to get a majority. But I think Durham can really capitalize. He's even a better receiving guy than Hudson. So I will have some Payne Durham. I like him a lot. And tight end's actually better today than it was yesterday, I will say. There's some good spots at tight end. And as we saw yesterday, it make or breaks the slate. Like you just kind of rotate guys who you think can score and then Bruce hit the nail in the coffin with Muse. So don't be afraid to get a little bit different there. As far as the skill position goes, slight interest in some of the Bucks wide receivers, like they don't really have much. And a lot of teams today are carrying like 15 receivers and they're going to play like 11 or so. I don't think the Bucks really play much of the veterans, so it leaves like a 7 or 8-ish. I like Trey Palmer. I like Tompkins. And then Raheem Jarrett. I talked to Greg Allman, is like one of the Bucks. I think he's an NFC South guy. He used to be only a Bucks guy, but he's awesome. He always gets back to me in a timely manner. He said, I asked him 2 questions. I said, Sean Tucker, we're going to see Sean Tucker today. We are going to see him, which is awesome. I don't know how much, but that really kind of murks up the running back situation for the Bucks. And I asked him who's having a good camp. He said Raheem Jarrett has a very good case to make the 53-man. So we'll have some Raheem Jarrett. I loved him at Maryland.
Yeah, Big Ten guys there too with Raheem Jarrett, Trey Palmer, Nebraska with Palmer. Raheem Jarrett, he was very talented. He had Talia Tagovailoa throwing him the ball. Raheem Jarrett was definitely a name that I saw that popped off the page, and so was Trey Palmer. It's a good wide receiving room with Evans, Godwin, Gage, and then it kind of has a little bit of that spot for the fourth.
And Tompkins has been on camp with us for like I think a year or 2, but I know he's had good camps before. So don't be afraid to get weird with one of these guys because receivers kind of tough tomorrow. There's 2 teams I'm targeting, and then it's kind of like up in the air from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big thing too. Like, let's say Evans, Godwin, and Gage all sit. Well, then they have 7 or 8 wide receivers. That's
exactly.
It.
Yeah.
We saw it with Bobo. I mean, Bobo basically played like a half last night. He didn't play really after the touchdown catch. He didn't play, and basically, I think he came in during the second quarter. So, I mean, if you're getting a whole half out of any wide receiver, especially with the quarterback battle going on, it's not like they're just going to be pounding it into the back of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
With like we saw with McBride yesterday and stuff. This will be something with Trey Palmer, Raheem Jarrett, and even like Devin Tompkins. Those 3 guys, I think, are the highlights for the wide receiver position in the Bucs side. Where hey, our quarterbacks are absolutely battling, for the positional battle. Who's going to shine at wide receiver too? I mean, that's definitely something to consider. And
the quality of quarterback play too. Like, I'm not saying Walford's like going to light it up, but he's a very respectable guy that would be going against 4 stringers. If the Bucs line can just hold up a little bit, he's not that bad. He's done decent in the preseason. So sometimes you get these the last quarterback in for these teams is just god awful. Can't even complete a pass. And we know he can. He's done it in a regular season game. So something to monitor. Sneaky Bucs receivers.
You know who can complete a pass? Holton Ahlers. What a throw he had to Landers yesterday. We'll go ahead and move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers situation. I'm glad that you did bring up that Sean Tucker was going to play tonight. Did seem like he was having a good camp, but you talk about a crowded running back room at the moment. Yeah. That'll definitely be something to track. But as far as the Steelers go, this seems like a gross team to kind of consider. It seems like the starters are going to play. I think it would be for a couple series just because that seems to be the staple of the first preseason game. And then it just becomes a mess because they have so many players. I was hoping that Freiermuth would sit so we could get some Gentry, even some Darnell Washington, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. They only have 11 wide receivers on the roster. I think maybe even 10 or 11. So, I mean, that might be something to consider. But overall right now, the Steelers seem like a stay-away team. What's your read on that?
So, in the past, I would agree. It's like, oh, this team's playing the starters, blah, blah, blah. But then, like, the starters are only going to play like a series or two, and then you take them out, and it's like, then they really have not much receiving room. It is the highest total. So, I think we do want a little bit of interest here. Like, Gunnar Olszewski, you're going to be returning punts. God forbid he returns one. But, like, a guy who's just a slot can get a couple catches. He catches 2 passes for 10 yards. And, like, we saw yesterday, that's not that bad, you know. And Des Fitzpatrick, lied to him at Louisville. Don't mind that. I think the tight end room, even with Freiermuth playing, man, only 4 tight ends is what I'm seeing on the depth chart. And I think Rodney Williams could get the entire second half basically to himself. I will play some Darnell because I don't think they want to give away some of the red zone stuff they're going to do with him. But I think like a simple, okay, let's motion him out and give him a jump ball. I think we could see that. So definitely want to have some Darnell Washington exposure, even in the limited snaps that he might get.
Yeah, I don't like playing offensive lineman at my tight end position. No, I'm playing. I
know. I agree though, because that's his role. Like he's literally going to be extended offensive lineman, but you know he's going to be using the red zone. He's like 8 foot tall.
Yeah, you know, I think Gentry also has a little bit of talent too. I think the tight ends
you target all these guys. I love that. I think if you just rotate Gentry, Washington, Williams, we know Pittsburgh likes to throw the tight end, man. And there's only 4. And Freiermuth is not going to play much. Definitely my favorite target tight end room.
So Calvin Austin the third, he is someone who was at Memphis, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He had that big performances there and stuff. And if there's anyone to get extended burn out of that like top 5 crop, I would say for the Steelers, it would be Calvin Austin at the wide receiver position. But here's the thing, and that's one of those things where I do want to hesitate on. The starters playing 2 series. 2 series is a damn whole quarter nowadays. Like, you know, it's 2 like 4-minute drives. So it's just one thing to consider. But it is the highest total on the board. We do have positions that target with a guy like Gentry, a guy like Washington, even like Rodney Williams too, and Calvin Austin. Those seems to be the guys we're interested in. The running back situation though, Kurt, any interest at all? Doesn't look like it.
I actually I'm going to do 150 again, and I'm going to take a stab on McFarland, but I don't recommend it in probably 20 max, to be honest. It's a gross room. We can save some time on the Steelers, really. Yeah,
we can absolutely save some time, and we'll go ahead and move on to the lowest total on the board. It is the Green Bay Packers versus Cincinnati Bengals. So the Bengals had the lowest team total in general, and the Packers are actually the second largest favorite on the slate. This is going to be an interesting game. I hope that Jordan Love plays. I see that he'll probably start. Again, I think it'll be 1-2 series. Kind of similar to that Steelers situation for the most part. Kind of a little bit gross. They have a much larger tight end room. I don't know exactly what to do with this Packers team. What's your read on them?
The Packers, I don't think I have much interest in the Packers. Hold on, let me pull it back up here. I revert back. I revert back to my own playbook more than you guys realize because, like, I do it added out, so you kind of have to revert back there. The tight end situations, they have a shit ton, like I said, so I won't be targeting their tight end situation. The running back situation, they're carrying, like, they signed the McCreary from Cleveland. That's a gross situation. Yeah, just honestly, 0 Packers left. I'm going to say more time. No Packers left for me. They got too many guys.
Last year, with the positional battle that went on, wasn't it Patrick Taylor and Tyler Goodson? They were battling it out for the roster. Awesome. I feel like we kept locking them in.
Yeah.
Not to say the same thing will happen this year, but if Jones and Dillon aren't going to play a ton, Taylor and Goodson could easily crack like 10, 12 touches. One of them could, right?
But
I think that is definitely something to consider. Definitely something to kind of get a little bit of a piece of. I think as far as the tight end position goes, Musgrave, I think they're going to want to showcase him in the first game, maybe on the first drive, maybe get him a catch. Showcase as in like, hey, we have a guy who can go downfield who's twice the player as Bob Tonyan. And then as far as the wide receiving goes, I mean, I'm waiting to see what Bruce kind of projects, but It's a gross room. I think, Sean Clifford deserves a mention. If we did see Sean Clifford's going to come in, play the rest of the game after Jordan Love, there's a college football hero, a guy who can get it done with the legs, but still seems like a 3-quarterback split. Any take on that before we move on to the Bengals?
I got a random beeping noise outside, so I'm going to keep it quick. Talking about the Bengals or who? Sorry, the beeping noise is driving me crazy.
Oh, man, I'll go to the Bengals while you check out that.
I do like the call. I didn't know Lou Nichols was going to be out. I loved him at Central Michigan. So the Goodson-Taylor thing could be real as long as Wilson and McCreary don't give too much run. So I don't mind that call.
Perfect. And now we'll go on to the Bengals. So the Bengals, they won't play. So Burrow's obviously out the calf strain. Doesn't sound like any of the top 3 wide receivers with Chase, Higgins, Boyd are going to play. I don't think Mixon's going to play either, Irv Smith too. So this kind of leaves a little bit of why they're the lowest total on the slate team total wise. But then you also look at it too where, Travion Williams isn't going to play. So it's going to be a 4-man running back room probably with Chase Brown probably getting a bulk of the first half snaps. And then Chris Evans too. Chris Evans has a lot of ability to basically kind of catch the ball out of the backfield. Was really good with Michigan. He was also a preseason guy that we targeted last year. And those are the 2 running backs that I think we have to have an interest on this slate just for pure volume. I mean, there could definitely be something that has merit there. And then I will also say that Frank Cervello, talking about he was at Lambeau on Saturday for a glorified practice, touch football, and Clifford looked shaky. That's disappointing to hear. So I probably won't use Clifford tonight. But, talking about this running back room, and then Charlie Jones did get hurt in practice. I was watching the local news when I saw that bit. And, it doesn't seem like Charlie Jones is going to play. So we could easily have a very tight room. And a guy who has been absolutely amazing all training camp, Andre Isavas, whatever you pronounce it. He was really good in his combine drills with his physical traits, ability. He's just an athletic specimen right now, and he is going to be a very, very good bid to potentially be the 6th wide receiver on the roster. So this is kind of a team. Obviously, the Bengals are my favorite team, but I have a lot of guys, despite the low total, that I'm interested in. What about you, Kurt?
So the running back situation, I think Chase Brown does get an extended look here, so I can dabble in him. Not a main team play for me. As far as wide receiver goes, man, you got to do the produced act with Charlie Jones and Payne Durham for the Bucs, right? I know I'll do that out of respect. Charlie Jones is a guy who can make a play. I'll pass on the combine guy.
He's going to be out, Kurt.
No, he's not.
Yeah, Charlie's going to be out.
What's that? He did practice though.
He got hurt. When I was watching the news, I said it didn't look too good. He left practice in return.
Okay, I'll go Stanley Morgan, Nebraska legend who's been with the team for a while. I'll go that. And then as far as the tight end goes, Tanner Hudson. I will play Tanner Hudson, the hero. Let's see what he said. It's a big room, but I don't know. Tanner Hudson's the preseason hero. Got to play him out of respect.
I like it. This is a very kind of a stacked tight end room in terms of just depth. Not a great tight end room in real life, but I think Drew Sample, Ossie, Hudson, Bowers, Strand, there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed in that tight end situations. I get that why you like Hudson, but we'll go ahead and move on to the very next game.
Man, he's a hero.
So who's the next game, Kurt? It is the Atlanta Falcons and the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins will offer a lot of intrigue, but we'll go ahead and start with the Atlanta Falcons. Not a ton of news out there, but there is the hype of Bijan Robinson at the running back position. I don't think he'll play much tonight at all. And if Desmond Ridder and the starters don't start tonight, we're going to have a 2-quarterback situation with Taylor Heineke, Logan Woodside, and then we're going to have some wide receivers potentially like Frank Darby, Daryl Hodge. You could even have a guys trying to bid to make the roster like our Sega Whiteside. This is going to be an interesting team to make sure that if the starters don't play, then we have value. If the starters are in, I'm out.
I agree. I don't if Bijan and Tyler Algier set, I'll have interest in Carlos, Washington, or maybe even Godwin, or even if they're going to play limited time. And then as wide receiver goes, it's a little. I know Josh Alvey's having a good camp. I don't mind taking a stab on him, but it's not much to love. I feel I don't know. They're going to just run the ball in their back like they always do. So another hard pass. The tight end room's huge, so not much. Unless we get Desmond Ridder is only going to play literally a snap or two, and then I might play some Heineke. Yeah,
Heineke would be the one that I'm interested in because, I don't know, it just seems like he can get it done with his feet. The Falcons are 2.5-point favorites. It is a 36.5-point total. There's going to be some weapons there, I guess. I'm not that high on this room or just this team in general, but it's definitely something to pay attention to. That's why you should get in the Discord, code NFL23, 23% off for life on the length of your description here at Run Pure Sports. And that news will be incredibly important. As far as the Miami Dolphins go, it looks like we are definitely going to have a 2-quarterback situation. Mike White and Skylar Thompson, those are 2 guys who are definitely going to appeal to me. I think Mike White especially, Skylar Thompson can get it done with the legs. Mike White can get it done with the arm. Then you kind of look at it, a running back room that, if they're not going to play the starters, Mostert, Wilson, even Achane, maybe he doesn't start. So you might have a very thin running back room. And this looks like a team that I'm probably going to have 2 or 3 players, kind of treating them almost like we did with the Seahawks yesterday with, stacking the wide receiver room, making sure Drew Lock and Ehlers were my top 2 quarterbacks yesterday. So, this kind of feels like the same situation there, Kurt. Do you have the same read?
I agree. The one that sticks out the most to me is actually the wide receiver room, especially the top 3 guys don't play. And the quarter, it's perfect because I do like both the quarterbacks. I know they're really worried about the offensive line, but Mike White he's good. I think he's a really good NFL quarterback. It's definitely a backup. And then Skylar Thompson has the wheels to kind of avoid some pass rushers and maybe kind of be decent against or counteract a bad offensive line. So interest there. And then the wide receiver room, I like Eric Uzukwama from Texas Tech. And then River Carcraft, a possession guy. Freddie Swain, we saw him with the Seahawks, so 3 interests. But I definitely want one Dolphins wide receiver there because it's a tiny room. So I definitely want one Dolphins wide receiver in all my lineups. And I want to get a little more clarity on the running backs because, like you said, I definitely think they'll give Wilson most of the night off. I think he's a series or 2 from Achane. I know they've seen enough from him in practice. He's been awesome. But still, you want to kind of give him in some game reps, a series or 2. And then it's Ahmed, Gaskin, and Brooks from there on out. So I think we definitely see 3-4 quarters from those guys. I need to dissect who I really like the most, but definitely going to want to target this team, like you said.
Yeah, it's a good point. And Eric, hey, what happens in Discord? Well, we have a Discord here. Basically, it just kind of keeps you up to date with all the news. Good community, too. But basically, this number one thing that we did with Summer League as well as preseason, it's important to get coach speak. It's important, let's say the Dolphins came out and said, hey, Mike White's only going to play quarters. Skylar Thompson could play all 3 quarters, right? That's important information. So having that information, being able to kind of disperse it all in one area so that way everyone gets it, is the primary beneficiary. It's a great tool. It was very effective for Summer League. It's been nice and especially with Bruce's projections, updating them, making sure that the entire Discord knows too. And obviously that helped him ship 50 stacks last night. Felix, White to Berrios for the Win-Jet synergy. There we go. That's a good one. They have to have a little bit of chemistry, surely, right?
They got Berrios so high on the depth chart, though. So it's how much run are we really going to give him?
This wide receiving room after Hill and Waddle is tough. I will say, I've seen Robbie Chosen be drafted in one of my best ball drafts.
Who?
I don't know why. Yeah, Robbie Chosen.
I saw that guy's name. And I'm like, okay, I can't really listen to the playbook because I don't know about it, but I'm gonna have my 150 pull out a name and respect.
So obviously we have a college football legend here. So this guy played at Texas Tech, wasn't it? Eric Exuma or was it Ezukanma? Texas Tech wide receiver. If he is able to give it a go tonight,
he's my favorite. Right?
He was a producer in college.
Yeah, he's my favorite right now. And I want to ask you a question. Let's say, like I predicted, Mostert, Wilson said, they say Devin Achane, I don't know how to say his name, Achane, even though he played him a shit ton in college. Let's say they say he's going to play 10 snaps. What are you doing with these 3 guys? Because it's just tough for me to play Gaskin because, what do you really need to see for him? Or what do you really need to see from all these guys? But how would you dissect those 3 backs?
You're only going to keep 4 running backs at most. So, you got to think it's just a positional battle at that point with Ahmed. Gaskin and Chris Brooks even, but Gaskin, we know he can flash with the hands. He can be effective in the pass game. I value those 2-minute drill guys. If they can get a 2-minute drill with a running back, that could easily be 4 or 5 points based on 3 catches for 20 yards. Those checkdowns add up. Chandler was extremely optimal yesterday with just 11 fantasy points because, he caught 4 passes for 29 yards. So that is definitely something to keep in note. Achane's workload will definitely be important to track. We'll go ahead and move on to our 4th
One more thing for this game. I think if we do get the news that I just said, I'm going to set a rule where I want one of those 3 backs.
I like it.
Because the running back's bad today.
It is. It really is. And speaking of bad, the Detroit Lions and New York Giants have the lowest total on the board along with the Bengals. at 35. So not the most fun game in the world, Kurt, but these are two teams that I'm high on the best ball streets. Obviously, it doesn't exactly pan out because, it's definitely not the same thing. But with the Detroit Lions and New York Giants, I'm trying to find boom. It doesn't seem like, we're going to get any value from Daniel Jones playing. And even Tyrod Taylor, why would you play him? You know exactly what you're getting. Could it be Tommy DeVito season?
Thinking so. I'm going to have a lot of Tommy because, like you said, I don't think Tyrod sees many snaps. And I'm going to probably pair him with tight end Tommy Sweeney. I don't think Waller and Bellinger play much. Lawrence Cager has even made a lot of impressions in camp, so I don't think they'll want to see him into the second half. So I think it's going to be Tommy Sweeney and Ryan Jones whole second half. So give me some Sweeney and DeVito, the old Tommy connection. How about that? Running back, I need to get more clarity on it. Like you said, these teams only keep 4 backs. So James Robinson, Josh Corbin, all those guys, Brightwell's banged up, so he probably won't play. So Barkley's not going to play. It's going to be Breida, Gray, Robinson, Corman, and then we got the fullback. So that another team we want to target the running backs at. Receiver, they got a little bit too many for me. So quarterback and running back and tight end love for the Giants from me.
Yeah, I think, Felix, what's up, Felix? And then Colin Johnson was a preseason hero last year. He was. This is a weird team to kind of gauge, Kurt, because how many wide receivers can you keep and how many talented wide receivers do they have? I mean, they have a clear, they have 8 guys who could definitely, not that they're elite or anything like that, but could definitely make a roster. And that is definitely something to kind of keep track of. If Colin Johnson is battling it out for a spot on the roster, which I mean, probably isn't with all the pup stuff and all the guys who get injured for the Giants here. I mean, it's definitely something to kind of consider, but I do like the Colin Johnson shout from our guy Felix. I will want to say Tommy DeVito, in case you haven't seen him play or anything, which I don't blame you at all. Not a very mobile guy. He had 35 rushing yards despite playing a whole season last year. Obviously, sacks kind of against you in college. So, I mean, he didn't run it much at all. So don't expect a very mobile guy, but if he is getting potentially 3 quarters, that's what intrigues us. Not exactly the talent. It's all about opportunity. So if you can get some Tommy DeVito, Colin Johnson stacks, don't hesitate at all. This running back situation, like you said, kind of gross. I mean, I think what do you need to see from James Robinson, right? Give me some Eric Gray. He was a disappointment at Oklahoma. I'll say it. He was a disappointment at Oklahoma. He kind of got going toward the end of last season. I think he kind of gets going here now. Maybe a little bit more opportunity in the preseason, potentially.
Josh Corbin, Florida State Seminole. So I think we definitely want to see the inactive and stuff for them, but I probably will have a little exposure to the Giants running back room. And then, like you said, the Giants wide receivers, like Bryce Ford Wheaton's having a good camp. And then last year, if Khalil Pimpleton didn't have trouble with drops with the Lions, that dude is shifty, man. He is he can get open fast and easily, but he just had some key drops that really hurt him with the Lions. So, they got a pretty solid receiving room for preseason standards.
All right. So despite the Lions having the second lowest team total on the entire slate, we do have a 2-quarterback situation with Nate Sudfeld and the GOAT, a Heisman candidate once upon a time, a Nebraska legend, and I don't know where he ended up in the end of his career, Adrian Martinez, potentially a whole second half, Kurt. He can run the ball. He's very athletic. You talk about a guy who can just come in. I don't even need to see him complete the passes. I just need to see him run. And Adrian Martinez can definitely do that. But this could be a 2-quarterback situation for the Detroit Lions. This could definitely be a very thin wide receiving core. This is a team that sucks because I get why the total's low. There's not a whole lot of talent on the field, but there's a lot of opportunity for guys to come in. And we've seen Dylan Drummond. He was the guy at Ole Miss, I believe, right? And we have, even guys like Denzel Mims could come in and have to play a lot too. This is a thin wide receiver room, a 2-quarterback system. Can you see Detroit Lions stacks in your future?
I do, because they said everybody, man. And it's really hard. And Adrian Martinez helped me ship to college last year. He was 1% owned for Kansas State and absolutely went nuclear. Dylan Drummond, I think this is the one from Eastern Michigan. Yeah, and he was good to us on those max slates. So I do really like some Dylan Drummond. The running back situation, much like the Giants, I think we need to get a little more clarity on what exactly, who's going to set and stuff like that. I think maybe Jamar, based off if we get the right guys setting, they signed a Zigbo and Snell, but we've seen sometimes it doesn't matter in preseason. Guys will just get snaps in the fourth quarter and they're just signed. So I want to see if those guys are actually active. Jamar Jefferson is on my list to watch. And then receiver-wise, they're not going to have many, so I'm going to love some Drummond. I love Anton Green for UNC, who's had a bad camp, needs to have a big preseason. So I love that. And then Denzel Mims. You can even throw in Chase Cota from Cal. Yeah, I want some interest here. This wide receiver room, the Dolphins wide receiver room are two of my favorites.
Yeah, you heard it here. The Dolphins and Lions wide receiver room, the most room for opportunity. And yeah, you're right. It is not the Ole Miss legend. It is Eastern Michigan, the MAC, baby. The MAC. You got to love the MAC. And I will say this, Muhammad Ibrahim, the top rusher in Minnesota University's history, the University of Minnesota's history. He is an absolute stud. Obviously had some injuries not go his way, but he did play all last season, absolutely crushed. If he is getting a big workload, potentially the entire first half, something to monitor. Jamar Jefferson's there too. So it's not the cleanest of splits for this backfield, but it definitely could have opportunity. Anything else you want to add on the Lions?
No, just keep your eye on that running back news because they have some guys who are very talented if they get an extended workload, just like the two you just mentioned.
All right, we'll move on to the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders and the Cleveland Browns. This is a total of 38.5, and Cleveland are 3-point favorites. It seems like we're going to see a 3 quarterbacks, play. It wouldn't surprise me to see him like Howell for a quarter, Brissett for a quarter, and then just, Jake Fromm for the rest of it. And then all of a sudden, I think that this wide receiver room is going to be a little bit tricky to kind of navigate. I don't really have any interest in any of these guys potentially. Mitchell Tinsley, Penn State legend. I will say this as a guy who just lives an hour away from Lexington. Chris Rodriguez. He runs hard as hell. It would take a goal line chance for him to get there, though. But, hey, that's preseason. Could definitely be a battle there to make the team. I think he's probably making the team. It's Robinson, Gibson, then Rodriguez probably. And then a tight end room that I don't know. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't think Logan Thomas, he should be bubble wrapped until the week 1 of the season. Obviously, you lived in the D.C. area. Anything with your D.C. connections telling you anything about this game?
Not the DC connections, but the RPS connection. I know Meg is a big Cole Turner fan, and he's impressed at camp. So kind of like Tanner Hudson situation, it's a loaded kind of thing. I know mostly 90% of the time we are targeting opportunity in preseason. But with tight ends, you just get a little weird. Cole Tucker has been impressive. Maybe he gets a little goal line catch. Running back room is interesting. If we hear news that like Robinson and Gibson won't play, then we have 4 running backs and like Jonathan Williams, Patterson, like you said, Rodriguez. Maybe want to throw them in the pool if we get news Robinson and Gibson don't play, but I have a feeling they're going to. Receiver room is a hard pass for me, and then Jake Fromm will be in the pool just for a whole second because he's going to play a whole second half.
Yeah, it's a great point too with regards to like Jared Patterson, and obviously he was a preseason guy last year. I think the biggest thing with him was he's just really small. So like when you see Jared Patterson play, you're like, man, Rubio's out in the field crushing it, right? But I will say he's definitely got a lot of talent. He is definitely something that I played last year. It wasn't exactly like amazing or anything that I remember, but it's definitely a little bit noteworthy. Cole Turner, we did play on a couple showdown slates last year. So I do remember playing Cole Turner at mid-price after Logan Thomas got hurt. So definitely a good shout. This is kind of keep an eye on the running back room, kind of keep an eye on Cole Turner. And then obviously if we do get word that Fromm can play a whole second half, seems to be the only players to really target here, Kurt, right?
Yep. Agreed.
All right. We'll go to the worst city in the world, the Cleveland Browns. The city of Cleveland. This is going to be an absolute gross team. We obviously saw them play in the Hall of Fame game. We saw Demetric Felton really kind of create a positive impression, as well as DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, absolutely crushing it in the fourth quarter. This doesn't seem like a good team to target, purely because it seems like they have a ton of mouths to feed, and they're intending on feeding them all.
Yeah, I think maybe I don't know if people are going to go back there because they saw him play already, but like Felton and Kelly probably have a little bit of interest. Nate McCreary's gone, so it's Hassan Hall, Felton, Kelly, Ford, Chubb. I mean, that's not that big of a backfield. So like we know Kelly and Felton have been good in the preseason, so I will take some stabs there. Tight end room is huge. Thomas Greeny impressed, but they're going to play like everybody, so hard pass. Wide receivers too much for me. And they're going to play like 9 quarterbacks. So take the running backs because I think it's a good system in the preseason, and then fade everywhere else.
That's a great point. I do want to mention, the backfield. Obviously, Jerome Ford hurt his hamstring. He will be back for week 1 of the regular season, it sounds like. But, yeah, that is definitely noteworthy. You said, is it Nate McCray? Is he in? Or?
He's signed with a team that we discussed earlier.
Oh, okay. So, wow, that is actually huge news. So,
For the
Hassan
Green Bay.
Hall, Demetri Felton, John Kelly Jr., and Nick Chubb. So, it's just a 4-bag split. John Kelly looked halfway decent, and Hassan Hall, I mean, obviously I was expecting to play more in the Hall of Fame game, but he had close to a touchdown run late in the second half there. That definitely, Louisville legend. So got to mention him. We'll move on to our last game now. The Denver Broncos at the Arizona Cardinals. The Broncos are the largest favorite on the entire slate, Kurt, at 5.5 points. So that is definitely noteworthy. As far as Denver goes, it did seem that we got a lot of coach speak from Sean Payton. Doesn't seem like a team that I'm absolutely excited to target, but it is a running back room that is very thin. And it kind of seems like I'm going to treat this the way that we treated the Browns. It seems like the starters are going to get 2 series, it looks. But this backfield's very, very thin.
Yeah, I'm excited to see kind of like the first semi-installment of Sean Payton's offense, and we got some guys we can target here, especially the running back room. Tyler Batty from Missouri runs extremely hard, much like you said about Chris Rodriguez, and he can catch the ball a little bit. So Batty, Jones Jr., and even the random guy, Jalen McLaughlin, if you Twitter search his name, you're going to see some good stuff come up, and some people saying he's having a pretty good camp. So those 3 guys I will have interest in. P. Ryan Williams probably only see like a series each. And then it's a three running back room and some guys who are familiar with Sean Payton, like Tony Jones Jr. and some of these receivers too. Little Jordan Humphrey. I mean, the receiving room's kind of thin. If you like take out all these guys that are hurt, the starters get off the field, then we're looking at like a 6 or 7 man rotation. I think it's going to be guys who play mostly the whole game as far as rotating in and stuff. So Little Jordan Humphrey, Marquez Callaway, I have interest in. And then Michael Bandy, baby. I got to play our boy Michael Bandy. Come on, Rubes.
Luckily, it's not a regular season slate to play Michael Bandy. It's a preseason slate. So there's actually in the natural order. Obviously, we took some shit for playing Michael Bandy in a Monday Night Football game. But hey, it is preseason. It's Friday Night Football, probably back in his element of his high school days.
Fact. I mean, we got to have some interest in like Ben DiNucci, right? Having a good camp to play the whole second half. Where's Devin Hodges at? Can I play Devin Hodges too? Where's he at?
Oh my! I don't think DiNucci's going to play the whole second half, though. I think it'll be like midway through the third or maybe some of the fourth. I think they want to get Stidham some work.
So then we got to have some interest in our boy Stidham.
Yeah, we might. I mean, I don't know. I think this is kind of that quarterback stay away situation because it's murky, right? The waters aren't clear. But I do love the little Jordan Humphrey call, a Texas legend. Hook 'em. Definitely not horns down, even though if you play Eric Gray, it's horns down. If you play little Jordan Humphrey, it's hook 'em. So anyway, I don't know why I did that. But, basically, it's kind of a team where exactly right. Tyler Beatty could definitely be someone who plays a lot. I mean, Javonte, I don't think he's going to play this game. He's going to play week 2.
I think they're aiming for week 2.
I thought unless this is week 2 or whatever the hell they do. So this could definitely be a three-man backfield because I don't think P. Ryan's going to get much work either. So this is definitely one of the best backfields probably to target. And we'll move on to the Arizona Cardinals. You can add anything you want on the Broncos afterwards, but like if you want to move on to the Cardinals here, this is kind of a difficult team. I'm not a huge fan of Clayton Tune. And when I watched him at Houston, didn't seem really that great. I think the one thing they have going for them is that the wide receiving room isn't the largest, but this doesn't seem like a team I'm going to target much tonight. As long as they go with their low team total, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of room for opportunity here.
Yeah, I agree. Not much I like. You do the usual. You go through and kind of Twitter search all these receivers' names. Wilson's having a good camp. Bocelli, he's been with them for a little bit as far as camp goes and stuff like that. Pretty deep running back room too, and the tight end room is also huge. So mostly a stay away situation for me, and they got 8 quarterbacks as well.
I do want to make it a point that JSU has been all over Michael Wilson for best ball, and I actually drafted Michael Wilson in 3 teams yesterday. So maybe that shows how much of a degenerate I am. But I do like the Michael Wilson. There's a chance that JSU thinks that Michael Wilson could be the starting guy on the outside in this offense because of how big of a body he is. And Rondale Moore and Greg Dortch aren't exactly the largest, largest receivers to take that outside role. So, yeah, I mean, we'll go ahead and end it on a high note, Kurt. We have our plays of the day. So yesterday, yours got hurt one kickoff in. So I felt bad for you there. I had plenty of D. Eskridge too. And hell, you know what? I'll defend you, Kurt. D. Eskridge was in the winner. He was in Bruce's lineup at 150.
He was.
A great call. Jake Bobo and D. Eskridge both in the winner yesterday. Let's repeat the success now. Kurt, who is your play of the day here for tonight's slate?
I can't believe you hit me with that. That's all. I said he'd be optimal, and damn it, he was optimal. Okay, I got to pick a guy. I'm going to the game, so I got to pick a guy in the Steelers game, right? So let me get Trey Palmer from Nebraska. I think him and Kyle Trask connect in the second quarter.
All right, I like it. Trey Palmer as the play of the day for Kurt. My play of the day is the one, the only. I lost my train of thought.
There we go.
Who am I picking, Kurt? No, it is the one, the Kansas State legend. Screw Nebraska. It is the Heisman candidate of one time. Once upon a time, a guy filled with hope in the Nebraska teams. A guy who probably got some NIL money to go to Kansas State. It is none other than Adrian Martinez getting it done with his legs tonight. You don't need to stack him. You know why? Because 60 yards rushing and a touchdown doesn't need to be stacked with. Adrian Martinez, my play of the day. Trey Palmer's is Kurt. Everyone, have a great rest of your day.